Come closer, my friend. There are people in this world who walk straight toward danger, and somehow fear never runs the show. They face uncertainty, but they don't freeze. They walk into difficult conversations, but they don't collapse. They risk everything, but they don't lose their nerve. And when you study them closely, notice something strange. It's not that they feel less fear than you. It's that they've trained their mind to stand next to fear without obeying it. Right now, you probably think your biggest problem is that you're afraid. But what if I told you that's not the real problem at all, Pascal? Oh, what if your real problem is that no one ever taught you how to separate the feeling of fear from the command to obey it? Think about it. Uncertain outcome can freeze your decisions for weeks. One hard conversation can make you disappear rather than face it. One risk, one possible failure, convince you to shrink your entire life just to feel safe. That means fear isn't just an emotion anymore. It's a ruler. And in a world full of people who quietly let fear make every decision for them, the person who can stand still in front of danger becomes rare, dangerous in the best sense of the word. So in this video, I'm going to show you 10 Stoic secrets that will make you fearless, calm in the face of danger, and impossible to intimidate. Not motivational slogans, but deep, practical philosophy from thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca. But understand this. These lessons are not comfortable. They will ask you to look directly at the things you've spent years avoiding. Most people will nod along and change nothing. But if you actually apply what you're about to hear, won't just feel braver, you will become someone fear can no longer control. Let's begin. Lesson 1. Face the fear before it numbs you. Lesson 1. Face the fear before it numbs you. Let me ask you something honestly. What is the one thing you've been avoiding for months, maybe years, because it scares you? A conversation, a decision, a risk. Sit with that for a second. Here's the problem nobody tells you. Every time you avoid something out of fear, you don't actually get rid of the fear. Just teach your mind that avoidance works. And the more it works, the smaller your life becomes. Read that again. Avoidance doesn't shrink fear, it shrinks you. Seneca once wrote something close to this. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Meaning, the version of danger your mind builds while you're avoiding it is almost always worse than the danger itself. Imagine a lighthouse standing on a cliff during a violent storm. Waves crash into it all night, the wind screams against it, and yet the lighthouse doesn't run from the storm. It stands directly in the middle of it, and its light keeps shining anyway. Now imagine a small boat trying to avoid the storm completely, drifting further and further from shore, lost, directionless, still afraid. The lighthouse didn't have less to fear. Simply stayed and kept functioning. That's the difference between facing fear and avoiding it. You send the difficult text. The fear doesn't vanish, but you're standing in it and still moving. Keep avoiding the hard conversation with your family. The fear doesn't disappear, it just grows quietly in the dark, waiting for you. From now on, whenever you catch yourself avoiding something purely out of fear, do the smallest version of it today. Not the whole thing, just the first step. Send the message. Make the call back into the room. Because the moment you move toward what scares you, even slightly, your mind learns a new lesson. I can survive this. That is how fearlessness is actually built. Not in one dramatic moment, but in 100 small moments of facing instead of fleeing. That is power. Lesson 2. Kill the story your mind invents. Here's something most people never realize. Are rarely afraid of what is actually happening. You are afraid of the story your mind has already written about what might happen. Something uncertain shows up. A job interview, a risky decision, a confrontation, and instantly your mind starts filling in the blanks. It'll go wrong. They'll reject you. You'll fail in front of everyone. None of that has happened yet, but your body reacts as if it already has. Epictetus taught that people are disturbed not by events themselves, but by the opinions they form about them. The event is neutral. Fear is manufactured, one sentence at a time, inside your own head. Picture a blank canvas. On its own, it's just white space, nothing more. But hand a frightened mind that canvas, it will paint monsters on it before anything real ever appears. The canvas never changed. Only the story painted onto it did. You walk into a meeting where your work will be judged. Reality is simple. People will look at your work and respond, but your mind writes a different script. They'll think I'm incompetent. I'll embarrass myself. Everyone will notice. Now your heart is racing before a single word has been spoken, all because of fiction, not fact. Start separating these two things immediately. What is actually happening? What story am I telling myself about it? Say it out loud if you need to. This is the situation. This is just the story I'm adding on top of it. That single habit strips fear of most of its power, because fear feeds on unfinished stories, not finished facts. The moment you stop writing horror scripts about your own future, take away fear's favorite weapon. Kill the story, and you starve the fear that lives inside it. Lesson 3. Prepare for the worst. So nothing surprises you. Why does uncertainty feel so unbearable? Oh, it's not because bad things might happen. It's because you haven't allowed yourself to imagine that they could. So when they do, they hit you completely unprepared. Seneca practiced something he called rehearsing misfortune. Every so often, he would deliberately imagine losing his wealth, his health, even his life, not to torture himself, but to remove the shock. He trained his mind to meet disaster calmly by visiting it in advance on his own terms. Picture a soldier who has trained for battle 1,000 times in drills. When the real moment comes, his hands don't shake the way an untrained person's would, not because he isn't afraid, but because his mind has already been there. The unfamiliar has become familiar through rehearsal. Most people do the opposite. They refuse to even think about what could go wrong, hoping that ignoring it will keep it away. But then when hardship does arrive, a job loss, a rejection, a failure, it lands like an ambush, and they fall apart, not from the event itself, but from the shock of never having considered it possible. Try this instead. Before a risk, a decision, or a difficult season, ask yourself calmly, what is the actual worst realistic outcome here? Sit with the answer. Picture it clearly. Then ask, could I survive that? Almost always, the honest answer is yes. This is not negativity. This is mental armor, built in advance instead of scrambled together in a crisis. People who look fearless in hard moments usually aren't feeling less fear than you. They've simply already stood face to face with the worst-case scenario long before it arrived. Meet danger in your imagination first, on your own terms, and it will never again catch you completely off guard. Lesson 4. Separate what you control from what you don't. Most of your fear is aimed at the wrong target. You are afraid of outcomes you were never in control of in the first place. That alone is exhausting you. Epictetus built an entire philosophy around one simple distinction. Some things are up to you, and some things are not. Your effort, honesty, your preparation, your reaction. Is it the outcome? Other people's? The final result? These were never fully yours to control. Think of an archer drawing a bow. Archer can control their stance, their aim, their breathing, their release. But once the arrow leaves the bow, the wind can shift it. A gust can carry it off course. A skilled archer doesn't panic over the wind. They focus completely on what was theirs to control and let the rest go. You prepare for an opportunity. You give everything you have. The outcome still isn't guaranteed, and that uncertainty terrifies you. But notice what's actually happening. Are afraid of controlling something that was never yours to control in the first place. The wind was never yours. Only the aim was. Before your next difficult moment, make 2 short lists in your mind. What is actually within my control here, what is not? Pour all your fear-driven energy into the first list, and consciously release your grip on the second. This doesn't mean you stop caring about outcomes. It means you stop torturing yourself over things you were never able to command. When you place your fear only where your power actually lives, fear shrinks, because you're no longer fighting a battle on 2 fronts. The moment you stop trying to control the wind, you finally become dangerous with the bow. Lesson 5. Stop borrowing tomorrow's danger. Here's a question worth sitting with. How much of your fear right now is about something that is actually happening in this exact moment? This is something that might happen later. For most people, almost none of it is present tense. You're not in danger right now, reading or listening to this. But your mind is busy rehearsing conversations that haven't happened, disasters that haven't occurred, rejections that exist nowhere except inside your own head. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly to confine his attention to the present task, the present moment, because that is the only place reality actually exists. Everything else is imagination borrowing trouble from a future that hasn't arrived yet. Picture a deer grazing in an open field. When a real threat appears, it reacts instantly and runs. The second the danger passes, it returns calmly to grazing. It doesn't sit there anxiously wondering if the predator might come back tomorrow. It doesn't live in a permanent state of dread. It responds to real danger, then releases it completely. Humans do the opposite. You sit somewhere completely safe and still manufacture fear about a future that doesn't exist yet. You have a hard conversation scheduled for next week, and instead of simply preparing, you relive the worst version of it 50 times in your head before it even happens, exhausting yourself over something that isn't real yet. Whenever you notice fear rising, ask yourself directly, is this danger happening right now? In this exact moment? If the honest answer is no, you are not in danger, you are in imagination. Bring yourself back. Focus on your breath, your surroundings, the next actual step in front of you. You cannot be fearless about a future you keep dragging into the present. Release tomorrow's danger, and today becomes yours again. Lesson 6. Turn fear into fuel, not chains. Let's be honest. Fear isn't going away completely, and it's not supposed to. The goal was never to feel nothing. The goal is to stop letting fear decide what you do next. Marcus Aurelius believed that the obstacle in your way often paves the way forward, meaning the very thing that scares you is frequently the exact thing meant to sharpen you if you let it. Think of fire. Uncontrolled, fire burns down everything around it, destroys homes, destroys forests. But that same fire, controlled inside an engine, propels a rocket into space. The fire didn't change. What changed was whether it was allowed to run wild or was directed with purpose. Fear works the same way. Uncontrolled, it paralyzes you, shrinks your choices, keeps you small and safe and stuck. But that exact same surge of adrenaline, redirected on purpose, becomes focus, becomes sharper reflexes, becomes the extra push that gets the hard thing done anyway. You feel your heart pounding before a difficult conversation. Instead of taking that as a signal to retreat, ask yourself, how can I use this? That racing heart is energy, not a verdict. Walk into the conversation anyway, and let that energy sharpen your focus instead of shutting you down. Next time fear rises before something important, don't wait for it to disappear before acting. It usually won't. Instead, take the shaking hands, the tight chest, the racing thoughts, and point them directly at the task in front of you. Let fear tighten your focus instead of collapsing your will. The people who look fearless were never immune to fear. They simply learned to burn it as fuel instead of being burned by it. Lesson 7. Release your need for certainty. Why does uncertainty feel like danger, even when nothing is actually threatening you? Oh, because somewhere along the way, you decided that you needed to know how things would turn out before you could feel safe. And life was never built to give you that guarantee. Epictetus taught that we shouldn't demand that events happen as we wish, but instead train ourselves to meet events as they actually happen. That single shift is the difference between constant anxiety and genuine peace. Picture a sailor who insists the sea must always be calm before they'll leave the harbor. That sailor never sails anywhere because the sea was never designed to promise calm. Now picture a sailor who has learned to read the water, adjust the sails, and move forward even when the sea is unpredictable. That sailor gets somewhere because they stopped demanding certainty as a condition for movement. You want to know for certain that the relationship will work out before you commit fully. You want to know for certain that the business will succeed before you start it. Want to know for certain nothing will go wrong before you finally try. But that certainty was never coming for anyone, ever. Waiting for it isn't caution, it's a slow, quiet form of surrender. Start practicing this instead. Before taking a real step forward, say clearly to yourself, I don't need to know how this turns out to move anyway. Let uncertainty exist right alongside courage instead of treating it as a red light that must disappear first. The moment you stop demanding guarantees from an uncertain world, stop handing fear the one thing it needs most to control you, which is your hesitation. Lesson 8. Detach your identity from the outcome. Here's something worth admitting. A large part of your fear isn't really about the event itself. It's about what you're afraid the event will say about who you are. You're not just afraid of failing or afraid that failing will prove you're not good enough. You're not just afraid of rejection, you're afraid it will confirm something painful about your worth. That's not fear of the situation anymore. That's your entire identity riding on a single outcome. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Meaning your worth was never supposed to be decided by results you don't fully control in the first place. Think of a mirror standing in an open field. A storm passes by. The mirror reflects the storm without becoming the storm. The sun comes out, and the mirror reflects the sun without becoming the sun. Whatever happens in front of it, the mirror itself remains unchanged and untouched. That's how your sense of self was meant to work. You attempt something bold and it fails. The event happened. That's real. I am a failure is not the event. That's a story your identity attached onto it. The attempt and your worth were never actually the same thing. even though fear tries to convince you they are. For your next high-stakes moment, remind yourself plainly, whatever happens here is information, not a verdict on who I am. Separate the outcome from your identity before you even begin, so that fear can no longer threaten your sense of self along with the event. The moment your identity stops being on the line, fear loses its sharpest weapon, because now, even if it wins the moment, it can no longer touch who you actually are. Lesson 9. Build courage. Taru small daily defiance. Courage is not a personality trait some people are simply born with. It's a muscle, and like every muscle, it only grows through repeated, deliberate use. Seneca occasionally practiced voluntary discomfort, wearing simple clothing, eating plain food, sleeping without comfort, not out of punishment, but to prove to himself that hardship wasn't something to fear. He trained his tolerance for discomfort in small doses, on purpose, long before life ever forced it on him. Picture someone training to climb mountains by starting on small hills first. They don't walk straight onto the tallest, most dangerous peak on day one. They build capacity gradually, hill by hill, until their body and mind can finally handle real altitude without panic. Courage works exactly the same way. If the only time you ever practice bravery is the only time the biggest moments of your life, you'll almost always freeze because you never built the muscle beforehand. But if you practice small defiance daily, saying the honest thing instead of the comfortable thing, making the uncomfortable phone call, trying the thing you might fail at, slowly build a nervous system that no longer panics at moderate risk. Pick one small uncomfortable action today. Not the biggest fear you have, just one honest size smaller than what feels easy. Do it on purpose, specifically because it's slightly uncomfortable, not despite that fact. Do this consistently, and something shifts. Discomfort stops feeling like an emergency and starts feeling like familiar terrain you've walked before. That is exactly how real, lasting courage gets built. One small, deliberate act of defiance against your own fear at a time. Lesson 10. Become the observer of fear, not its prisoner. After everything you've heard so far, there is one final shift that changes everything. You are not your fear. You are the one who notices it. Right now, fear can rise inside you, tightness in the chest, racing thoughts, urge to run, and most people instantly identify with it completely. They say, "I am scared," as if fear and their entire identity have fused into one single thing. That was never fully true. You are not fear itself. You are the awareness that is watching fear pass through you. Think of the sky again. Storms move across it violently. Lightning strikes, wind howls, rain falls in sheets. But the sky itself is never actually damaged by any of it. The sky simply holds the storm without becoming the storm. Your fear is the storm. Awareness is the sky. The moment fear rises, instead of collapsing into "I am terrified," try shifting the language slightly. Fear is present right now. A tiny linguistic shift creates real distance, and in that distance, you regain a choice you didn't have a second earlier. This idea isn't unique to Stoicism. It shows up across ancient philosophy and modern psychology alike, because it points at the same underlying truth. Awareness is freedom. The version of you that notices fear was never actually in danger, only the story wrapped around the sensation was practice this daily. When fear shows up, pause, label it plainly. Let a small gap open between you and the feeling. That gap is where your actual power has been hiding the entire time. You started this video believing fear was something that happens to you. Now you have the tools to become the one who simply watches it pass by without ever needing it to disappear completely. These 10 secrets were never meant to be information you simply nod along to. They were meant to be practiced, because knowledge without action changes nothing at all. I came into this video believing that fearlessness meant the absence of fear. Now you understand the deeper truth. Fearlessness was never about feeling nothing. It was always about no longer letting fear make your decisions for you, staying calm in uncertainty, and becoming someone who moves forward anyway. So, now the choice sits with you. Go back to old patterns of avoidance and hesitation, or step into the version of yourself that faces danger without flinching. Once you truly see this clearly, you cannot fully unsee it again. Face what scares you. Stay present. Stay fearless.